For Bright Light News, I'm Richard Gurgis, and I'm here with MPP Randy Hillier. Would you like to introduce yourself to Canada?
Great to meet you, Richard, and I'm the independent member of the Ontario Provincial Parliament for the riding of Lanark, Frontenac, and Kingston.
You've been the lone maverick politician in Ontario standing up against Ford government's COVID-19 measures. In fact, up until recently, you were the sole politician in Canada questioning the data and science behind government public health policies. When and why did you feel it was necessary to publicly share your concerns within the legislature and on social media?
Well, it's a bit of a long story, but I'll try to be brief here. Like everybody else, I think 99.9% of the people back in March and even into April were exceptionally concerned and worried and also fearful because of the great uncertainty that was being communicated to everybody, the dire projections, the apocalyptic models that were being told to us every day and through multiple avenues every day. It was a relentless. For me, it was around the middle of April I started questioning what was going on. And that was because of the great harm that was being communicated to me by my constituents. Business people who weren't able to, who were going to lose their business, who were going to lose their homes, not be able to put food on the table for their kids. The people who were being denied medical attention and their stress and anxiety because of the fear of not getting medical attention. I had one lady who called me who was just devastated that her 58-year-old husband was denied a live liver transplant, and he needed the liver transplant. But the ventilators were designated to be used only for COVID patients and nobody else. And this was if I can convey this properly, that was a constant message that I was hearing all day long, every day. And, I just, whatever this thing called COVID is, this solution that we have is dangerous,
right.
Exceptionally dangerous. And then I just started inquiring independently. And one of the great ironies, one of the great elements of illumination for me was looking at what other respiratory viruses, how do they act, what do they do, what's the consequences of those. But in addition to that, I actually looked at the data from the Diamond Princess.
Right.
And I thought, well, here's something that can give us evidence because it was a controlled environment. It had no transfers of people in and out. It was contained. And although it didn't have a great representation of demographics of society as a whole, it was two very distinct demographics. The older passengers, generally speaking, and the younger crew.
Right.
And one was confined to their cabins, or one had greater confinement. The elderly, than the passengers had greater confinement than the crew, because you still have to run the ship, still have to bring the meals, etc. And there was no deaths from the crew, no crew members, and the infection rate was very, it was very tempered. It was very
compared to the models, of course.
That's right. And even though we heard all of this doom and gloom from the Diamond Princess, 13 people died out of 4,000.
Right.
And I said, okay, well, you could not create a controlled trial. You wouldn't be permitted to. But that is, that's a random controlled trial.
Right.
The gold standard of scientific inquiry.
Right.
And it says, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad.
Well, would you say that at that time, perhaps leaders didn't have as much information about the virus, and you might give them the benefit of the doubt back in March or April as to the real severity of the virus as compared to the models?
I think the level of fear and the level of misinformation that was being communicated, and just the natural tendencies of bureaucracy and elected people to listen to the experts,
Right.
and listen to their experts and listen to the experts that they like,
Without looking at the real data.
and there was just an absence of critical thinking.
Right.
It was like, we don't need to think as individuals anymore. All we have to do is listen to our preferred experts. And of course, in every bureaucracy, in every hierarchy, the higher you up, the more authoritative you are.
Right.
Okay? So, Dr. Tam is more authoritative than Dr. Williams in the pecking order. Dr. Williams is more authoritative than the local chief medical officer of health.
Right.
And who is sitting at the top of that hierarchy, and who is the most authoritative? Astonishingly, the WHO, and somebody who is just a scandalous rogue, Tedros.
Right.
So we have a scandalous rogue being the most authoritative, individual in this whole COVID thing.
So when politicians are charged with shaping public policy, then how would you feel that the most, let's say, balanced approach would be other than listening to public health officials?
Well, the most fundamental, the most essential thing anybody should do when they're looking at solving a problem or examining a problem is to be able to think for themselves first.
Right.
Okay? If you can't think for yourself, then go somewhere else.
So would you say
Okay.
then certain considerations weren't taken into account then?
Oh, I think there was a complete absence.
Right.
And even the checks and balances that we have in the system that safeguard against stupidity, generally speaking, and generally they're pretty good. The first safeguard against political stupidity is an opposition that challenges the government and asks questions of the government and makes the government reveal what they know, and then we inform. Through that discussion, we inform people, and they use their critical thinking and their judgment to. And then we also have other added safeguards in there. The committee process to bring in a wide range
Right.
of experts and a wide range of people who will face consequences from those decisions. And
A more holistic approach to the problem.
well, that's the way parliamentary democracy works,
Right.
and we know for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, it's worked damn well, and it has solved. It's been pretty bloody damn good solving problems.
Right.
And with COVID, we said, throw away all that.
So why do you feel we're seeing this more unilateral approach to this single threat?
This is a question many people are asking is, why did the Western world throw away all our knowledge, throw away all our critical thinking, throw away all our processes, and embraced the communist Chinese authoritarian model as a solution?
Indeed, why?
Why? And, I don't think anybody can answer that question fully at the moment.
Okay.
I think that will take, I think to fully answer it will take many years of prying and digging
Right.
and revealing what was said to who and when and what orders
who.
came out of it.
Yeah.
Because I think when this is all said and done, whenever that may be, and hopefully it happens, and hopefully it happens soon, but there are going to be people who are not going to want their participation in their actions known to the public.
Okay.
I'm not, that's, and that shouldn't be, people make mistakes.